Hi, and welcome to an episode of Conveyancing and Coffee. I've got with me today David Westerman. Mate, have you got your coffee with you today, Dave?
I do, Justin. I have it here. It's
Champion.
it's here, warmed up, ready to go.
Legend, legend. Dave, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what areas you look after.
Okay, so obviously, yes, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a principal with Altitude. We have three offices: Toronto, Warners Bay, and Valentine. I look after the Toronto area, so the western side of Lake Macquarie, which is a fairly big area. Actually, encompasses a lot of the waterfront properties: Toronto through to Cold Point, Killabin Bay, down to Rathmines, Wangi, and even down as far as Morisset.
Wow. Fair territory, absolutely.
Keeps us busy.
Bloody oath it would. Hey, mate, look, we're for those that are watching this 12 months down the track, we're in the midst of a coronavirus at the moment. Now, everybody's in lockdown. That means that things have had to change in regard to real estate agents, the way they do things, open for inspections, auctions, bits and pieces. Mate, can you tell us what you and your agency have done for those changes and how you're adapting to those?
Yeah, sure. It's a day by day proposition, and obviously we're guided by what the government's telling us we can and can't do. But I think really at this point we're just utilising technology as much as we can.
Yeah.
Obviously, for buyers, we're qualifying buyers a lot more at the moment, just as far as are they ready to buy? Is this the house they want to look at? Because obviously we want to try and protect the vendor with regards to the virus. We want to try and
Yeah.
protect the buyer, obviously, so as least contact as possible with getting through the home.
Yeah.
But obviously, once we've gathered that, yep, this is potentially the home for them, then absolutely all guns blazing, we're getting them through.
Yeah.
For new properties that are just coming to market, we're utilising some good technology, which is like a virtual walkthrough, which
Oh,
just gives
nice.
the purchaser on the internet a bit more exposure to the property.
Hmm.
And just obviously we can't do auctions or open for inspections, but we're doing private appointments
Yeah.
as often as we need to. So it's business as usual really for us.
Brilliant. Just no opens really. That's really the only difference from what I can see.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, we're limited to two people through the house at any one time.
Yep.
So if we do get more than one buyer there, we just, you know, keep them at the front door and then take the first through and then come back. But on a positive, it just gives us a bit more time, one-on-one time with the buyer that we
Yeah.
don't always get that open. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's a good thing as well.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. So with that in mind, you're qualifying the buyers a lot more. What sort of things are you asking them? Is it more towards the lending side?
Yeah, there's a bit of both, Justin. Obviously, if they tell us that they've got three houses to sell before they can buy, or if they're just in the early stages of research, or they're looking to retire up here in 3 or 4 years, obviously we just try and give those sort of buyers as much information as we can, but we probably wouldn't recommend taking them through the home
Yep.
at that point.
Yep.
Um, Also with lending, we do ask the question about lending
Yep.
because with what's going on at the moment, lenders are getting a bit funny about who they're approving, what their job is. So again, if their finance is ready and if they're pretty well ready to go, we'll be trying as hard as we can to get them through the property. If not, then we just nurture them, stay with them, help them as much as we can to get them ready to buy. And then obviously if the property's still there, great. If not, we can show them something else.
Now you've got a background in finance as well. Does that help you when you're dealing with buyers?
Yes, it does. And as we were talking before off camera, we both sort of went through the GFC and I went through the
Don't
GFC
bring
in
that
the
up again.
finance industry. So yeah, so I understand. Look, if someone says that they're pre-approved for finance, that doesn't mean they are unconditionally approved, and there's still quite a bit of moving parts between an unconditional, approved in principle to an unconditional approval.
Formal approval.
So,
Yeah.
again, I try really hard to educate the buyer because a lot of buyers aren't aware. They just hear that
Yeah.
they've had a conditional approval
Yeah.
and assume that that's good enough, but it's not. So yeah, we,
Everyone
we just
does.
try and
Mm.
give as much info as we can just to get the buyers set.
Yeah. Now, look, obviously we're in lockdown at the moment. That seems to be giving people a lot more time. If you're looking at selling, That's obviously allowing the sellers, I should say, to get everything organised. Mate, what would be three tips you could give to a seller on things to focus on? Should they be focusing on the lawn? Should they be repainting the whole house? Should they be putting on an extension? What things should they do to their property now that they've got, let's argument say, another month to work on this lockdown? What should they change on their property to give it more value, do you think?
Oh, look, it's such a good question. Look, for me personally, garden is
Yeah.
is a real 101. So get that front yard, backyard, lawn, all of that. Just curl of the mow, get it as good as you can get it.
Yes.
Um, and then inside the house, just concentrate on decluttering. So
Okay.
get rid of as much stuff as you can.
Right.
Even get a neighbour or a friend or someone or your agent, one of us can come through, someone with fresh eyes just to come
Yeah.
through the house. Because when you live in a house for a long time, you sort of get used to it as it is. And,
Yeah.
the good points you may not appreciate and the bad points you probably don't see.
Sometimes too
So
close to
there's
the
nothing.
coalface. Yeah.
That's
Mm,
exactly right. Yeah. So
mm.
there's nothing wrong with calling us in just to come through and look, give you an honest opinion on what they should be doing inside the house. But clutter is a big part of it, and if
Right.
you can just minimise that,
Yep.
straighten things up. Um,
Work on the garden, a bit of fertilizer
sometimes,
on the lawn.
yeah, that's right. Look, sometimes you can also overthink it as well. Like the house is what it is.
Yep.
Buyers are going to come in and see it for what it is and see the positives. And, every house that has something about it that could be fixed. So
Yeah, righty.
don't get too caught up in it.
Now, is this starting to turn into a buyer's market? And if it is, do you think this is a good market for investors? Like, are they going to get a better return here than they are currently from the stock market, for example?
Um, Quite possibly, yeah. Like if there are buyers that are ready to go
Yeah.
in this particular market, they could do well.
Hmm.
It is business as usual. Look, obviously everything's slowing down to an extent, but absolutely yes is the answer to that question. If you're
Yeah.
ready to go as a purchaser, you're sort of in the box seat.
Right. Beautiful. Excellent.
Yeah.
Mate,
So there you go, Justin, mate. You can get your checkbook out and go shopping.
mate, going back to that finance thing, you've got to get approval.
That's right. Oh well, you'll be right.
Mate, now what other tips and tricks could you give people in this sort of market?
Um, Look, it's the age-old thing. If you're selling, just be reasonable on your price.
Hmm.
Be honest with yourself, and your agent should be able to tell you, where you are price-wise. If the vendor is fair with their price and the buyer is fair with their offers, it's a good deal with good energy around it. If either of the parties sort of dig their heels in and expect either too much for their property or don't expect to pay enough for a property, that's when a deal doesn't happen. So be open-minded to that.
Great.
Talk to your agent, obviously, and get them to sit with you and explain, and should be able to give you really good evidence and good data on where your property sits price-wise. So get your price right. Secondly, do your lawns, declutter the home inside, and you're ready to go. And look, there's nothing, although we do have the virus going on, there's nothing wrong with selling now. It's as good a time as any, and there's still buyers out there.
Yeah, look, I'd have to back you up on that. We've still seen plenty of matters going through, especially buyers wise as well. Look, in
Yeah.
our office, we're sort of thinking, and it'd be interesting to get your point of view as well. But we think that once this settles down a bit and people come back into market, we feel there could be a bit of a rush. What's the thoughts and the chatter within the agency?
It is exactly that, actually. And it's sort of like when everyone's battened down the hatches, and goes into fetal position for a few months, they come out and the first, human nature to say, you know, let me at it, and the banks will be saying, here's some money, and the government will be obviously, wanting people to, encouraging people to spend and whatnot. So you're probably right. We
Yeah,
just have to get through this hurdle, and then once we're through the other end, it's back to
it'll
back to normal.
just be a little blip in the cycle of buying and selling real estate. Well, it's not a quick,
Yeah,
it's not a get rich quick scheme. The old real estate, it always takes time. So I guess this could be an opportunity for a lot of people to sell and buy and get what they want at a better price.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And look, take the downtime. Take use of this downtime to be doing things around the house, as you've just said, like do the gardens, do some paint jobs that you think need to, like use the time.
Yeah.
Because we all, well, other than if you're working on the front line at the moment, but a lot of us, have a bit more time on our hands now than we normally do.
Yes.
So you could put that to good use.
Yeah, no more Friday night footy, which is killing me at the moment.
Oh, mate, I'm with you. I'm with you. And Parramatta were coming first too after 2
Oh,
rounds.
gee whiz, mate, you broke up there. We seem to have a bad NBN signal. All right, Dave. Well, thank you very, very much, mate, for your time. I really appreciate it. Some really, really good tips there. Some good information on what the
No
market's
worries.
doing in the Toronto area too. So,
Yeah.
mate, I'll leave you to have the rest of your coffee and cheers for being on board.
Thanks, Justin.
No
Thanks,
worries, mate.
everybody. Talk again soon.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.